Hello and welcome in. Today we're going to be diving deep into Paladins and Project Epoch. I sat down for over 3 hours with 2 expert Paladins from the Epoch Discord, and we talked buffs, reworks, and everything this class is shaping up to be. Spoiler, Paladin mains have a lot to be excited about. So, grab a front row seat, grab some snacks maybe, and let's get into it. Well, we've got to start with the most exciting addition in this classic world. Epoch brings us Horde Paladins. No, not those guys. Undead Paladins. Arise in Death Knell and rekindle your oath to the light. There are new Undead Paladin quests, a new racial seal. You may recognize it's similar to Seal of Blood, and of course, a Risen Charger. Paladins in Epoch can utilize the racial knowledge system to customize their racial seal, independent of their character's race. For context, the racial knowledge system in Epoch allows a level 60 player to go on a journey to explore different cultures in Azeroth, including the opposite faction's races. Once you've completed a certain race's quest chain, you unlock the ability to swap your entire racial set for the desired set, and that includes race-sensitive abilities such as seals. This means if you play as a dwarf that seeks the powers of a human,
well met.
You could swap your entire set of dwarf racials to human racials. That includes losing Seal of the Mountain in order to gain Seal of Vengeance. Just a quick note that this racial knowledge system will have a 2-week cooldown. Another general Paladin change is the introduction of hands. Utility blessings such as sacrifice, protection, and freedom are now considered hands, meaning they will no longer remove blessings on your target. And to improve quality of life, auras are now raid-wide, certainly simplifying raid group organization. Now it's time to introduce a brand new seal. Seal of Dedication. This seal unlocks unprecedented levels of Paladin cleave damage, whether you're a Retribution Paladin carving through packs of monsters, or a Prot Paladin who needs to generate snap AoE threat. This seal is powerful.
It is ridiculously good. Honestly, that right there is a defining class thing.
So yeah, Ross is really excited about this new seal. Now, let's dive deeper into Retribution. We'll explore the itemization and spell changes that will reshape the way you gear and play your Paladin. Crusader Strike has changed to deal 75% of your weapon damage as Holy. Hammer of Wrath will no longer reset your swing timer. Just one less annoying interaction to think about while you're smashing your keys. You may be noticing a theme. Paladins are doing a lot more holy damage and thus scaling a lot better with spell power. For that reason, unlike Classic, you need not compete for every highly sought after attack power or strength agi piece. Instead, the Epoch developers try to employ common sense as much as possible. This is the custom dungeon set. Notice that there is an abundance of spell power to synergize with this new playstyle. An important note here, these dungeon set questlines will be available at launch. They are not just pieces of catch-up gear. When it comes to PvP, Retribution Paladins can combine Avenging Wrath and Seal of Dedication to unleash further improved bursts of damage on their enemies. They've got decent utility and of course a few iconic CC abilities. Rest assured, there's nothing to worry about when it comes to how well a Retribution Paladin stacks up against the competition. Of course, as any Paladin knows, your mobility will still be lacking. From my time chatting with Lil Jon and Ross, they've made it clear that Ret Paladin performance across the board is nothing to scoff at. During the betas, they've experimented heavily and found builds that succeed with slow and fast weapons, which means greater weapon choice variety. Well, that's it for Ret. Let's move on to the Holy Paladin. Holy Paladins still dish out heavy burst healing while maintaining steadfast, but they've had a few alterations to their spellbook and received an exciting new talent. Seal of Light has been made way more effective, now amplifying the incoming Judgment of Light, and it can crit. Divine Illumination has changed, and if used correctly, it can be considered a buff in PvP. It now grants a significant amount of haste rather than mana cost reduction, but notice it also carries Forbearance. The mana refund from the talent Illumination has been bumped up to 75%, while Holy Light received base mana cost reductions. These changes should help the mana economy for the spec quite a bit. Finally, a new talent has joined the fray. Overwhelming Light will give you opportunities to splash heals off of a target. This gives Holy Paladins some interesting group healing capabilities, something they wouldn't have access to for a few more expansions. On the PvP front, Shakadins rejoice, as the TBC baseline stat changes will allow you to keep healing power gear on and still receive a third of your healing power as spell power. You will be doing big damage without sacrificing a ton of healing. Still, Holy Paladins do have low mobility and flexibility when it comes to instant healing, and can be vulnerable to periods of interrupts and CC. Lil Jon did a great job elaborating here.
Holy Pally has very low movement. They don't really have any peeling capability. They get shot down by interrupts more than any other class or silences, because the only instant cast you have is Holy Shock, and more often than not, you do that for damage. Because Holy Shock damage is way more valuable than Holy Shock healing.
Now one last point, a little birdie did tell me, with talents and a new PvP set bonus, you may be able to use Hammer of Justice every 25 seconds. Yeah, let's just move on to Prop Paladins. Defenders of the Light, welcome. The Protection School doesn't shy from changes either. Avenger's Shield is now instant cast. Ardent Defender will mitigate damage on attacks taking you below the threshold correctly, fixing a major weakness and making this talent more consistent. And as mentioned earlier, unleashing Seal of Dedication with Judgment produces great AoE damage, and thus great AoE threat. In preliminary dungeon and raid testing, Prod Paladins performed amazingly, and I was told they are an easy lock for a tank slot in most raid teams. You can main tank as a Paladin on Epoch. I've even been told there are ways to two-hand tank in lower level dungeons as well as at 60, of course depending on the encounter. When it comes to leveling, really any spec with Paladins will do. Specs like Ret will see faster power spikes as you reach Crusader Strike. Even Holy Paladins will have a smoother time soloing outside of dungeons, when your DPS and tank friends are offline. I was informed that improved Seal of Righteousness was not scaling correctly in Classic, but in Epoch, this talent will properly improve the spell damage from the seal. That means Holies carry a big weapon and swing away. Finally, AoE farming as Prot only got better with the Seal of Dedication, spell power scaling with Consecration, and instant Avenger shields. Now, one negative is apparent: mana economy. Depending on how much you love casting spells, you may need to drink a bit more often than the original version of Classic or TBC. That being said, there is an argument that the damage per mana is also more efficient, so do with that what you will. Now, for those who want to consider further optimizations, for racial sets, maybe consider using Orc racials for more AP and SP, or Tauren if you want to be extra beefy. Professions also carry some Wrath-like self-benefits in Epoch, so you could consider enchanting and tailoring to give yourself more spell power, or Alchemy is not a terrible choice either, offering stronger flask effects for yourself. The additions to racial knowledge in the profession system leave a lot for experimentation. Start theory crafting your own perfect paladin because there's a lot of mystery out there. Epoch has no accessible item database or loot tables at this time. That means thousands of unknown items are awaiting. Who knows what kind of new weapons, trinkets, and armors are waiting for us? Before we wrap this up, I'm gonna have to address the elephant in the room. Seal twisting. Look, there isn't gonna be an easy way to summarize every nuance, but generally yes, seal twisting does exist on Epoch with a slightly larger window, and it is a bonus to DPS. But there are viable builds for those who want to avoid it. I think this topic is obviously very contentious, but there is an FAQ dedicated to this. It's curated by the same geniuses I've consulted for today's video. Please check the links in the channel description to find out more about twisting and other nuanced Paladin knowledge. Well, that was my very best attempt at summarizing the Paladin and its changes in Epoch. Thank you again to Lil Jon and Ross for teaching me everything they could as fast as possible. If you enjoyed this Epoch class overview, please subscribe as I'll have more of these videos soon. Let me know in the comments, will you be playing Paladin, or which class do you want to hear about next? Stop by my YouTube on launch day and going forward because I'll be streaming as much Project Epoch as possible. I'd love to sit around with you guys and chat while we wait in queue. Thank you all, this is Muzzy signing out.